All right, so this is a last bit of Unit 6 and Unit Chapter 29. This is where I irritated a few folks. Listen, we get involved in World War II. We were involved in World War I. In World War I, we created the Office of Public Information. The Office of Public Information, its attitude, its job was to change the way you think. They learned about advertising. They learned about reaching directly out to people. They learned about controlling. And so we're going to institute the same quality, the same kind of Office of Public Information. And the problem that the Germans are going to have, the Italians are going to have, the Japanese are going to have, is they're willing to fight a war. They're willing to fight an army. They don't realize they're having to fight an entire country. They don't realize that they're even having to fight Hollywood. And Hollywood is going to come to the rescue. Hollywood is going to show you what a bad guy is. They're going to show you what an evil villain is. They're going to show you what awful people we're fighting against, what heroic people we are, and what we need to do. They're going to help you understand what to think. And this propaganda is important because what you have to know, folks, is you can't kill people. You really can't kill people. Killing people is a bad thing. And so, effectively, to fight a war, what you have to do is paint the other party as less than human. You have to change how people see them. You have to change how they perceive them. And you have to show that they're less than human. And so the actions you take to extinguish this issue means that you're not less than human, that you're being righteous. And Hollywood is really good at making us righteous. And so they're going to join forces. I mean, you can even go and find Dr. Seuss. You can find Disney. You can find a variety of folks that are going to be involved in creating propaganda that show you that America and democracy is right and that the Germans, the Italians, and the Japanese are all wrong. And indeed they are. But here's the issue. What we're going to do is we're going to fight, and it's really going to come to me. It comes to the forefront when we start talking about pushing towards Operation Overlord. And Operation Overlord is the that one thing, that one action where we invade Europe in such a way that we establish this beachhead, that becomes what we know as D-Day nowadays. And it's a plan to invade Fortress Europe. And what most people don't realize, that Hollywood has a huge part of this. They're going to create a ghost army right there on the shores of Britain. They're going to take inflatable tanks. They're going to take cardboard or plywood tents and tanks and trucks, and they're going to create an entire imaginary army, and they're going to do it, and they're going to put it underneath the command of General Patton, who's already got a reputation for being blood and guts Patton, got indeed a reputation for fighting, and they're going to take, and they're going to go into the pubs, and they're going to go into the drinking establishments, and they're going to have actors that go in and talk about this fantastic invasion, talk about this great army, talk about these plans, talk about it, and they're going to spread disinformation about this huge attack and where it's going to happen. And the thing is, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a ghost army, because what we're trying to do is we want to stage Operation Overlord, but we don't want them to know exactly where we're coming. And so we're going to lie effectively, and this is where we're going to get involved at, because there's a lot of things happening. And so I want you to think about how many elements are involved in this war. I want you to think about what we're looking at is we're not fighting against humans, we're fighting against less than humans. So that justifies a lot of the actions that happen. That justifies a lot of the killing that happens. It justifies a lot of things, because after we look at Operation Overlord, because I'm not going to go into every battle and everything else, let's just say that the loss on the beaches in Operation Overlord on D-Day is horrendous on both sides. If you've ever seen Saving Private Ryan, it is my understanding from talking to a few folks that picture that Steven Spielberg creates with them landing on the beaches and the amount of carnage there is pretty effectively close to what it was, having talked to a few folks along the way. It's atrocious. Well, it's that kind of thing that's going to justify our use of the Manhattan Project. It's going to justify that when Truman walks into office, he was vice president. When he becomes president, they say, hey, President Truman, we just want you to know that the babies have been satisfactorily delivered. And Truman is like, what? What he doesn't know is that there's a Manhattan Project. He doesn't know that there's an atomic bomb. And this is when it's finally coming to fruition. We are going to win in Europe, and we're going to decide that it's if we attack Japan, because we've been fighting in Japan and we've been fighting, pardon me, in the Pacific. We've been using an island hopping strategy thanks to MacArthur. We're going to go ahead and attack this island. We're going to jump over and then attack this island and cut the middle one off so we don't have to fight every cotton picket island along the way. But we do realize we're going to have to attack the Japanese homeland, and we're estimating that it's going to be well over 1 million casualties. The idea that Truman's going to come in and say, oh, we got a bomb? Okay, let's go ahead and use this. It's horrific, yes, but his justification, and they checked with him, and yes, he's gone now, but he said, you know what, I don't regret that. I regret the amount of loss, yes, but I don't regret that it wasn't our soldiers that was lost. And so what happens is this: we're late establishing a second front. That makes Stalin mad. We are going to help where we can, but he's going to stay mad. Before Roosevelt dies, he's going to be engaged in a series of meetings at Potsdam and a few other places along the way, and we're going to make plans for after the war. Plans about how to divide Europe, who's going to take responsibility for what. Because Roosevelt is sick, we made some bad deals. When the war is over, again, Stalin not happy with it because it took us so long to get to the party. When the war is over, we say, well, listen, Europe is pretty torn up. Last time we didn't help, we're going to help this time. George Marshall is going to develop the European Recovery Plan, nicknamed the Marshall Plan. The idea being is that we're going to donate food, we're going to donate money, we're going to donate what we can to help restore Europe, because we realize if we don't help, we're looking at World War III. We decide to help because what we want to do is we want Europe to stay democratic. We realize if we don't help them, Russia will, and they will probably go communist. Well, Russia is going to be given a block of territory that they're supposed to help, they're supposed to assist. What they're going to do is they're going to slowly but surely take over their governments with subterfuge by creating puppet governments. They're going to turn it into what becomes a communist bloc. Thanks to Churchill, we have the name Iron Curtain, and what it does is it creates a block or a curtain of countries that are indeed communist, that is going to cut Eastern Europe off from Western Europe. That's going to establish this Iron Curtain between the Soviet Union and this democratic Western Europe. This is the beginning of the Cold War. It relates to the Marshall Plan and the fact that we're going to assist Europe and that we offer to assist the rest of Eastern Europe. And they say, you know what, no thanks, we don't want it because there's too many strings to attach to it. This is what becomes the Cold War after World War II. Even though we get United Nations, even though we get some relative peace, it's an uneasy peace. It's an uneasy peace because we're going to put communism against democracy. We're going to look pretty quickly at what becomes the Truman Doctrine, what looks at the domino principle. As we go on a little bit farther, we're going to start looking at containment. So, you know, those are all relatively new words, but I want you to realize that this is the beginning of an iconic struggle. Somebody recently told me, well, what did I think about the end of the Cold War? And my response to them is I will let them know when it's over. So make sure that you finish up the reading on this. This is the last video for this particular unit. All right, take care, folks. Thank you.